Could US or NATO F-16s and F-15s head to Ukraine? While the Pentagon continues to massively fast-track weapons and supplies to Ukrainian defenders fighting in the southern and eastern parts of the country, US and allied supporters of Ukraine are also increasingly thinking about the long-term effort to sustain Ukraine's war effort. A key part of this involves support for the Ukraine's Air Force, in large measure because the Russians have still as of yet been unable to achieve air superiority, something which is quite surprising given the massive deficit in air fighters between Russia and Ukraine. There's work being done here at the Pentagon and elsewhere out in Europe, at UCOM and elsewhere, to help work with the Ukrainians to identify their kind of medium to long-term requirements. So think of things that aren't measured in days and weeks, but measured in months and a handful of years, Colin Kahl, Undersecretary of Defense for Policy, told reporters August 8th in a Pentagon media discussion, according to a transcript of his remarks. Specifically, of great interest was his discussion of the possibility that, in time, there may be an opportunity for the West to send fighter jets to Ukraine. There are real questions about what would be most useful in terms of assisting the Ukrainian Air Force and improving its capabilities. It's not inconceivable that down the road, Western aircraft could be part of the mix on that, but the final analysis has not been done. I will say, though, in the near term, we've been doing lots of things to make Ukraine's existing Air Force stay in the air and be more capable, Kahl said. For example, Kahl explained that despite the widespread focus on the U.S. unwillingness to shepherd through Polish MiG-29s months ago, the Pentagon has continued to take many steps to support Ukraine's Air Force. A lot was made about the MiG-29 issue several months ago. Not very much has been noticed about the sheer amount of spare parts and other things that we've done to help them actually put more of their own MiG-29s in the air and keep those that are in the air flying for a longer period of time, Kahl said. The Pentagon has also included a large number of anti-radiation missiles that can be fired from Ukrainian aircraft to destroy Russian radars or jam their communication systems. This development would seem to indicate that U.S. and allied supporters of Ukraine are perhaps more inclined to think Ukraine might ultimately prevail in stopping or even destroying Russian advances. Clearly, Ukrainian air defenses seem to be having an impact, as well as whatever fighting is going on in the air. Also, if Russia is still unable to achieve air superiority, something which could completely change the tactical situation on the ground, is it even considerable to envision a scenario wherein Ukraine is able to take control of the skies if fortified by large numbers of fighter jets? It seems, given Kahl's comments, there may be some emerging thinking along these lines, if not at very least a growing consensus that Ukraine may succeed in continuing to shut down Russian air attacks. President Biden and the Pentagon have now authorized the single largest weapons support package for Ukraine since the beginning of the conflict, pledging as much as $1 billion in rockets, ammunition, anti-tank weapons, surface-to-air missiles, and armored vehicles. The initiative, announced August 9th at the Pentagon by Undersecretary of Defense for Policy Colin Kahl, lends additional evidence to recent comments from the Pentagon and U.S. allies that supporters of Ukraine are preparing for long-term support against the Russian invasion. Another key indication or signal this aid package suggests is that the Ukrainians continue to have very substantial success using weapons and technology provided by the U.S., NATO, and other allied countries. Kahl detailed a host of various items to include additional ammunition for high-mobility artillery rocket systems, or HIMARS, 75,000 rounds of 155mm artillery ammunition, 2,120mm mortar systems, and 20,000 rounds of associated mortar ammunition, munitions for National Advanced Surface-to-Air Missile Systems, or NASAMS, 1,000 Javelin systems and hundreds of F-4 anti-armor systems and 50 armored medical treatment vehicles. Kali went on to explain that the materials also included large amounts of smaller, high-value items such as medical supplies such as bandages and first aid kits, as well as lethal small weapons such as C4 explosives. The Western support announced by Kali is entirely aligned with the collective sense of resolve expressed at the recent Ukraine Defense Contact Group of more than 50 countries supporting Ukraine's defense against invasion. The sentiment expressed at this most recent meeting by U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and multiple NATO leaders was firm in its resolve to prepare the international community for an ongoing, longer-term strategy in support of Ukraine.